Cool. So my name is Devin. I'm one of the 3 co-chairs of the Youth Leaders and Young Professionals, along with Safira and Saida. So today this meeting is just essentially going to be an intro to what we're thinking about for this year, what our plans are. We also want to hear from y'all about what would be beneficial for you coming from the YLYPs as well. So we'll also have some like feedback sessions towards the end. But we'll just start with sharing our plans, and what we're thinking about for this year. So I think I'm passing it to Safira.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Devin, and welcome so much, everybody. It's so nice to have you all here. So maybe just for a few of you who are new, who are maybe joining us for the first time, I thought just to give a little bit of an overview about what the Youth Leaders and Young Professionals is about. So we've been really looking at building a community and a network of young people within the gender equality movement who are looking to engage in UN processes. And so over time, we have been creating events, holding space for consultation, to learn about advocacy, to amplify youth voices, to channel those youth voices into UN processes, particularly around gender equality, around the Commission on the Status of Women. We're hoping to expand a little bit of that scope this year. And I know the 3 of us, Devin, myself, and Saida as co-chairs, are kind of looking for opportunities. And as Devin mentioned, really wanting to get a sense of feedback from you and from our members about what would be most helpful to advancing your work over the course of the year. In terms of the age range that we're looking at for Youth Leaders and Young Professionals, it's 18 to 40. So, but we're also a welcoming group. So we are trying to kind of really advance the engagement of young people, but are also very welcoming to those beyond the age group, for those who want to learn and also engage. And we also want to keep you all informed. So hopefully many of you are on our mailing list. We have a WhatsApp group, we have a LinkedIn page, just so that you can, we're on Instagram, so that you can keep updated with different events and campaigns and opportunities to engage with us and with the NGO Committee on the Status of Women. So with that, I will pass to Saida. Oh, sorry, I'm going to well, maybe Saida, introduce yourself, and then we'll go back to Devin for plans.
Oh, that sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name is Saida, and I'm one of the co-chairs along with Safira and Devin. And I'll be speaking to you all shortly, but we'll circle back to Devin.
Thanks, Safira and Saida. So with all that being said, some of our plans for the year, our youth preparation series for CSW. If you have been with us for the past couple of years, you're a little bit familiar with this. We've been doing this the past 2 years, where for about 8 weeks leading up to the CSW, we've had an event each week with the objective to prepare participants for the CSW and the NGO CSW Forum. We have a bunch of different kinds of events, some educational ones like panel discussions on certain topics, professional development sessions. Like last year we did, I think, like an elevator pitch workshop. We have networking sessions. So we really are trying to, give y'all like a well-rounded experience, so you feel really confident and prepared to go into the forum and the CSW, and be able to just like engage and participate as much and as meaningfully as possible. So we also want to improve our regional engagement and participation. We really want to have, a global representation and be able to include people from everywhere into our space. So we are working with some regional partners to do this. And also working more closely with UN spaces and the youth processes that are happening there, and to just kind of provide more of like a streamlined youth space at the UN. There's a lot of different youth related processes and things going on at the UN, and sometimes it can feel a little bit that there are all these spaces, but they don't really connect. So we also want to try, and like bring those together a little bit. And of course, at the NGO CSW Forum, we will be having some sessions and some spaces during that time. Last year, if you attended the forum, we did a civil society briefing for youth, led by youth. We had a networking session, and we also hope to have like some community boards as well, so that people can easily connect and talk to each other and ask questions and all of that. So so that's it for our plans. This is very much a like first phases of our planning. So that's just kind of what we've been thinking, what we're planning. So I don't remember who I'm passing it to, but on to the next section.
I think it's my turn to sort of take the wheel and invite all of you lovely participants on here to engage with us, because the YLYPs, this forum and the space we're trying to build out, it's really for you all. So we want it to be built by you all, and we want to really develop co-ownership with you. So I'd love to invite us all to sort of be vulnerable, open ourselves up to engaging if we're feeling it, and really provide us a little bit of feedback about what would you like to see from the YLYPs this coming year. What would make sense for you in terms of your professional development, your personal development, regional representations, the topics you'd like to see us highlight. So what would make sense, again, for you and your colleagues and the other young people around you. So I think there might be some surveys and Jamboard that we will be sharing along as well, but I'd love to open up the floor and really ask all of you here that what would you like from the YLYPs this year? What would be most helpful to you all? And please feel free to like raise your hand and jump in, and we can call on you, or if you're more comfortable dropping in the chat your responses, you can do that. But I see that we have our first volunteer, Reshma, the floor is yours.
Okay, so hello everyone. It's actually night here in India. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a postgraduate student in gender and development studies. And one thing I have noticed in most, be it in educational spaces, like be it in academic spaces or in professional spaces, or like in humanitarian action, social action, NGOs, whatever it is, when you talk about gender, even when it comes to sustainable development goals like the SDG 5 on gender equality, even that, most of the time it focuses just on women, and the idea of women too is very limited. But then I'm not saying that there aren't like almost half of the world's population is not women. I'm not saying that's the thing. I mean, that's not the thing. It's just that when it comes to gender issues, there is also the issues of queer people involved in it. And like even though we say that they are a minority, and yes, I do agree that we are a minority, but then like there are millions of us in this world, and we have been always there. It's not something that popped up in the 21st century. So I want that kind of perspective too. Like I hope that perspective too is included rather than and it to be mainstream and intersectional with the majority group that is often addressed, rather than something like a side business that comes to the end or just mentioned in the flow. Rather than that, it to give in a good amount of focus and effort along the line, like whatever activities we engage in. And a starting could be by using inclusive language. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you for that, Reshma. That's a really fantastic note to start, and a great reminder that we need to move beyond the binaries and need to be really respectful and inclusive of all gender and sexual identities and place them front and center, while being mindful of the fact that there are intersectionalities across the board and they cut across each and every issue that we speak about here. So thank you for uplifting that and highlighting that. And that's something that we're going to note down and be very mindful of moving forward. And especially the part about the language, I think that's something we can hopefully visit internally as well and move forward in terms of how we continue to develop our programming. So thank you for lifting that up. Are there any other folks on the call who would like to share their perspective? Again, you all can feel free to hop in the chat as needed as well. And I see we have a couple of hands up. I am sorry if I mispronounce anyone's name, but I think I see Isa might have their hand up. Or Isa, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Please feel free to correct me.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing all?
Good.
Hello, can you hear me?
I think the voice is a little low, but I think I can hear you, and I hope others can as well.
Okay. My name is Isa Digor. I'm currently a medical student from University of Maiduguri, Nigeria. I'm representative of IANSA in Nigeria, International Action Network on Small Arms. And I'm also the co-representative of IPPNW student body, that is International Physician for Prevention of Nuclear War. So what I came to realize that is regarding to most especially the status of women in our society, most especially in Nigeria. It has women that live in the subservient position, and when it comes to most especially social engagement, community engagement, and so on, women are also left in such position that I mentioned earlier. So I think there is a need for the women here with us also, and for all youth leaders to provide accessibility for women, or that is the flow for women in order to also showcase their own potential. I think there is need for that. So that was the reason why. And I also working on the IANSA International Action. We work also on violence, most especially domestic violence. We also try as much as possible to see that all those victims of violence are also being actually rescued. And most of the victims of violence in the community are women. So I think we are working on that angle of gender-based violence, and I think my engagement as part of this CSW will be of greater value in the bigger picture. And I hope to actually volunteer and at the same time to be part of this journey. That is possibly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. for uplifting the experiences of women in Nigeria and the advocacy work you're doing. That's really brilliant. And if you have any suggestions on your end on what the YLYPs can do to continue supporting your advocacy work and the work of your colleagues, we'd love to hear that in the chat as we continue to speak. So thank you. I'm sorry?
No, I missed a point.
I was just saying that we'd love to continue hearing from you in the chat on how we can continue to uplift your work. Thank you for sharing.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, we have, I believe, Bertha.
Yes, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm connecting here in Zambia, particularly in Africa. Yeah, I'm representing Vidia. Yeah, I'm pursuing my master's in special education at the University of Zambia. Yeah, so my major participation to this meeting is to be aware how we can help, especially women with disabilities. This is the group of women that are always neglected in our communities. They are just roaming in the street, begging for help. Yeah, so how can they be helped? So it's something that has been of concern, and no one is really trying to help them. How we can help these women and young children or young people with disabilities? How can they be helped in order to uplift their lives? Yeah, I could also mention of gender-based violences. These are issues of, I think, everywhere. Even in Zambia, we have a lot of reports of gender-based violences. Women, yeah, they're always being battered, a lot of cases of them. So how can we help our communities so that such things, they come to reduce, not ending, because people have got different perception and mind and level for understanding things. And also the issue of early marriages. Yes, a lot of early marriages in my country or in my community. Young people, they are unable to finish educations. So I really want to learn how I can be approaching those young people so that we reduce such issues and focus on their education. Thank you, that's my submission.
Thank you for sharing that, Bertha, and sharing your experiences, particularly in Zambia, and how at the grassroots level we can offer support for people suffering from domestic violence, for people living with disabilities, and how to really bring young people together to support that at the grassroots level. That's really important. And thank you for lifting that. Next up, I believe we have Tia O'Hara. Again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing.
Hello, are you getting me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is O'Hara Tia. I am from Liberia, and I currently work at the National Legislature, the House of Representatives. And there is where we do policy that has the ability to settle most of those issues like gender-based violence. So working there, and also always into female activities, being a feminist, to champion the cause for women empowerment at the level of the policy making house is something that I deem necessary. But one of the experience that I have that is not good, most time in our environment, we do not see women into most of these activities, like whether political, economical, or social. The women are not empowered. In fact, when academically in my society, the women are not that educated because the support is not there. So because of that, you will see they are not involved into other activities. They feel shy, they feel afraid to be overshadowed by their male counterparts. If you went to the rural community that I grew up, you will see the women are being forced into a lot of traditional practices like female genital mutilation. And then if it is difficult for someone to advocate because we get threatened. So being part of this organization as a volunteer will increase my voice and also create a fear for people in my country, because in my country here, they're afraid of anything that has to do with United Nations or any international organization. And where they know that you are part of it, and then you are advocating, they create that fear and they want to listen to you. So to be a volunteer for this organization and also working in the government or like bureau will give me that kind of voice that when I speak, my bosses, will listen and want to do things that will not violate women's rights. So I will be glad. I will be glad if I will be a volunteer on this program. Some of the challenges that we face when you went to the Bureau University, even in high school, you will see more than 100 male graduating, and you will see less than 3 female graduating from school because those female, they force them to marry at age 13, 14. They don't go to school. In all sectors, they are very limited in many things. So it is highly sickening, and for some of us like me, I have 13 sisters. I'm the only male child in my family. So to see my 13 sisters, all of them fall in similar capacity, as not being nowhere in society, forcing into early marriage. So it pinned my heart. So I put myself in the shoe of the other female who are going through that experience because I'm experiencing it too. So I do not feel happy to see women being abused, to see women being taken to traditional butchers and carrying on female genital mutilation that created more health problem. To see women being forced into early marriages, that have the ability to increase the mortality rate. Most of them die at childbirth because they are not mature to give birth. Those things are pinning. And we that work at the policy house, our bosses, they don't look in that direction. They only care for those political things. But when it comes to female issue, it is lacking. So you will see in my country, you will see like less than 10% of the female at the national legislature. Even the female legislative caucus, the few women, we only have 2 senators in my entire country who are female. The female legislative caucus, they do not have that kind of voice because they are not supported by other international organizations. So the male always overshadow them. They do not have that kind of voice to speak against what is going on in the rural area because they themselves, they are into the tradition, and then any attempt to speak, they go after them. So the few of us who are male, regardless of if we are part of the tradition, but we are prepared to speak against the traditional practices because we were there at the time out of ignorance. You understand? We did not know that these things are not good for females. So today we have decided to speak against them. It poses threats to our survival. They hunt us, they threaten us that you don't do this. So currently at the level of the House, a bill was just introduced by the Deputy Speaker to criminalize female genital mutilation, meaning all the traditional butchers, anyone who will practice that, it will be a crime and you will go to jail. And we are supporting it to the fullest, even though it is very dangerous for our life. But the safety of women is very paramount. If we have more women who are educated, I think we'll have a society that the women will not be vulnerable. They will be respected. An educated girl cannot be forced into marriage by her parent because she will be able to tell them the disadvantage. So these are things that I'm advocating against. And with this organization, I can have a more powerful voice that when I send someone to speak, my leader will be able to listen to me because even if they don't want to listen to me, they know the kind of organization I'm part of. You understand? In my country, they don't respect local institutions.
Yes.
Anything that has to do with international, they will listen. Even for the president, they respect international organization. Any group from America, Canada, or other part of Europe, so long as it's an international organization, whether you are not part of the United Nations, they respect you highly. So organizations like this, I think my dream to see women living in a society where they will not be marginalized because of that gender will come to reality.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that, O'Hara. And thank you also for uplifting that point that accountability from the international community can help offer support on the ground for the work that you and your colleagues are doing. Really appreciate that. Next up, we'll turn to another speaker who have their hand up. Martha, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Greetings from the Sussex University. I'm currently taking my MA in Gender and Development, but I'm based in Tanzania, working for Tanzania Feminist Initiative, and I'm glad to be here. For me, what I wanted to point out is that as a group, how can we consolidate with other feminists who are facing a lot of challenges in the world, like currently what we see in what is happening in Iran. And I believe that there are also, like, first we should like how are we getting the information of what is happening, even not just Iran, even other parts of the world where other feminists needs our support, and us as a group, which support can we give at least to consolidate with them at the challenges that they are facing. I think that's the point that we should have in mind, because as we are fighting all this patriarchy system, we should also have in mind that there are others who need like a quick support, like they're in the emergent situation. Yes, that's what I wanted to point out.
Thank you for lifting that, and that's such an important point about how together as a global community, we need to stand in solidarity with all the people around the world who might be suffering under patriarchal rule and laws that come with it. So thank you for uplifting that again, Martha, and it's a great reminder again of how we need to move beyond what's happening in our own communities and in our own backyards and look globally in solidarity with our brothers, sisters, and everyone who considers themselves a feminist and part of this movement. So again, thank you. I know I see a lot of other hands up, and we'll circle back with you all shortly. I'm going to take us over for a quick exercise to make sure that all of us continue to be engaged on this call and receive feedback from you. I think Devin is going to share a quick exercise for us to do about how we can continue to improve ourselves as the YLYPs. So Devin, I'll turn it over to you for now.
Hi, everybody. So can everyone see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I will put the link in the chat, but you can also scan this QR code, or the link is up here as well. So we're going to do some polling to get some more of y'all's feedback. Yeah, so the link is in the chat. And if you have any issues joining, just let us know in the chat and we can help you out a little bit. So the first question that we have been talking about, but we really want to get everyone's opinions, even if you can't unmute yourself or we don't have time to get to everyone. So the first question is, what would you like to see from the YLYPs this year? What would be helpful to you? For example, are there specific topics that you'd like to learn more about? Do you want to focus on like the priority theme? Do you want more professional development opportunities, etc.? So yeah. So take some time to think about it a little bit. So we have definitely more professional development and networking opportunities, more networking events with professionals that could teach us applicable skills. It looks like the participant limit has been met. Oh. Hold on, let me see if I can maybe change that. In the meantime, definitely feel free to put your answers in the chat. And let me see if I can update that.
So maybe we can hear from some more of the hands that are raised. And Said, if you want to continue kind of moderating while Devin's checking the
Absolutely. Thank you all for your patience. We're going to figure this out. I think next up we had Juliet. Juliet, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm Juliet Nyakwa Dansi, but then you could call me Lady Juliet. And I'm a gender advocate, a youth activist, and I'm a feminist. I identify as a feminist. So I'm a Ghanaian, and I currently volunteer as a regional leader for YLYP United Nations Foundation in Ghana. I'm part of the Sub-Saharan Africa team as part of the partnership and then fundraising team. And I'm also the regional leader for Ghana. And I also work full-time for the Pearl Safe Haven, which is a local NGO registered in Ghana, which fights against gender-based violence and also supports victims and survivors of gender-based violence. So we do advocacy where we have a mobile app called Safe Place app, which is on Google Play, which is on iOS App Store, where we provide information on gender-based violence and gender news. We provide documents on laws regarding gender-based violence in Africa. And then also we give survivors the resources and then places to reach out to in case they find themselves being abused, harassed, or raped in any part of Africa. And then I think one thing that I'm most passionate about is young people and then women. And for women, I've come to realize that creating economic and social empowerment opportunities for women is such a big deal, because working in the space of gender-based violence, I realized that a lot has to do with women being empowered, and then being empowered goes beyond being educated, because we get educated women, we get career women who has been abused, who are being harassed, and they don't even see the need to speak up to it. We get educated women who are even trying to silence illiterate from speaking up, from being abused. So a lot has to do with providing women that with that social inclusion opportunities where they'll feel heard, they'll feel that they are being supported, and then all those barriers and then stigmas regarding gender-based violence is going to be broken down. And also economic empowerment opportunities, because you realize that most of these men stay in that situation because these men have that power over them. They are depending over them. And then for young people, I'm more into leadership, because I feel that we young people have a whole lot of energy. We have a whole lot of untapped capacities in us, which has been reserved, especially in Africa, where it looks like majority of our population is young, but then most of our leaders are also old people, and then they don't even see the need to include we the young people. I think within this week we had one of our member of parliament in Ghana saying that young people are not wise, and then there's no young people who is capable to lead, especially on the national level. So the only time a young person can lead is when they stay under an older person and then grow old, which most of us found it like very disgusting and then very unfortunate of him to say that, because I believe that if you give us a chance, that's when you can see what we bring to the table, because you make decisions that affect us. And then we are in the Gen Z generation, you are from the millennials, and then what the kind of challenges you face in your generation is different. Our generation is more digitalized, careers are evolving, everything is evolving. So I feel that young people should be given the opportunity to find ourselves, to develop ourselves. Like, we shouldn't be made to fit into one loophole as it was done before, because in Africa I realized that that's actually the deal when it comes to career development and then leadership advancement. So with YLYP, I really want us to, I really wish that it grants we the young people the opportunity to, find ourselves, like to define ourselves. Because if we want to take the front, like we really want to lead a change, then we should be able to know ourselves. We should be able to define ourselves, like know what we can do, like what's the kind of change that we need to cause. So I think that is what I'm most passionate about, giving us that opportunity to lead the front when it comes to leadership and then empowerment opportunities.
Thank you for sharing that, Juliet, and especially for lifting up that intergenerational and power sharing piece, that how people who are currently in power need to be sharing power with young people. And only when everybody has a seat at the table can there be any real sustainable progress. That's really essential to the work we do. And thank you again for uplifting that. I see in the chat that the problem has been fixed, so we can all jump into the link and share our input there as well. And then hopefully we'll circle back and hear from others as well. Thank you, Devin, for workshopping this in real time. I know it's stressful.
No problem. Yeah, so I added that there's 30 openings now. So if you have added your response, maybe just hop off so other people can join. But yeah, we have a lot of great responses. Creating spaces that are accessible to contribute to during the CSW 67, making space for youth voices to be heard throughout the conference. Most definitely, I'd like to learn more about the priority theme and how we can each prepare our outreach organizations to meet with this. Also, some more professional development skills. Engage and empower more young people at the grassroots level by building alliances with young leaders and amplifying their voices through capacity building opportunities, international forums, and the necessary resources. Considering the socioeconomic context of the Arab world, being an activist is the privilege that many have to fight for, as the majority have part-time jobs and are students. Solution is setting up resources, including funding and mentorship for Arab youth initiatives. I would like to know more about CSW 67 priority theme, and also want to learn more on how we can get adolescents in the war-affected areas to be involved as an adolescent movement. Understanding the link between CSW, COP, G20, etc., more networking opportunities, support and strategizing for regional youth consultations, and being more considerate and mindful of Global South timings and lack of resources. More about the priority theme, offering thematic or regional working groups ahead of CSW. All really great ideas. A lot of youth activists brought up the issue of taken seriously by older leaders and organizations. Absolutely. Yes, these are all such great responses. Thank you, everybody. And feel free to keep adding more to this, and also putting responses in the chat if you're having trouble with this as well. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. So the next one that we have is, how can we improve on engaging young people in the regions? So some of your responses to the first question were about having more grassroots people involved, more Global South. So if you have any ideas on how we can better engage them, feel free to add them here. Yeah, or in the chat or wherever you can. Definitely take some time to think about it.
And maybe while people are putting in their responses to this question, we can probably hear very, very quickly from some of the hands that are still up.
Yes.
I'll hand back to Saida just really quickly for the sake of time, if everybody can just share 1 minute so that we can hear from everybody.
Yeah, that sounds great. And again, would love for you all to be specific about what the YLYPs can do to support your work. I think after Juliet, we had Jemmy and up next. So the floor is yours.
Hello.
Hi there.
This is Jemmy Jallo from Liberia, Sino County to be precise. Within my environment, there are a lot of victims there. I am a founder of an organization called Girls Education Women Empowerment Initiative, and this organization was founded since 2019. It helps promote girls' education and women empowerment, advocates against barriers that contradict women's rights, like early marriages, teenage pregnancy, family issues and things. So, like for me, I'm a Fulanese. I was once asked to get married at a very young age. When I was still in high school, I was about 15 years old. And then my people tried to force me into that, but then I later got connected to the UN women who tried to educate me on this. And from that day, I tried to form an organization and make other friends within a community that are victims of this be able to understand, teach them how to work and be an educated woman and be a leader for tomorrow. And then with this, it helped me. So I want to say thank you to the founder of this organization, and I will continue to follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmy. We really appreciate all the work you've been doing, and thank you for sharing your story and offering your recommendations. And thank you, really appreciate it. And we'd love for all the other folks in the call to quickly also share the recommendations of how the YLYPs continue to support your work. Devin, do we want to take a pause?
Yes. Yeah, so we have, again, a lot of really great suggestions. Have regional representatives and increase social media advertising, both of which we definitely are trying to do this year. Creating safe spaces for the young people and creating online sessions, having better communication in the regions, better to prepare a certificate of participation, dedicated networking sessions by region. That's a really good idea. By using personal stories rather than focusing on facts and figures, collaborating with regional youth, having more Zoom meetings to be able to hear from each other, skill building, engaging LGBTI youth on different opportunities, and advocacy skills, providing skills and a better understanding of sharing and helping one another, mentorship in small cohorts, forming small youth cohorts that can individually strategize, ensuring youth and adolescent representation in global policymaking spaces, organizing focal group discussion sessions, training, storytelling, and other engaging activities. Yes, these are all really great ideas. I'm loving them. Keep adding them. Yeah, great. So I'll move on to the next question, and we can hear from the next person with their hands raised as y'all are kind of noodling this and putting in your responses. So how can we improve on developing our 8-week youth preparation series? So if you have been with the YLYPs before, you might be familiar with the prep series. You might have participated last year. But essentially we have 8 different events throughout the series. So if you have any ideas on like what kind of events you'd like to see during this series, what would be the most helpful for the preparation series, you know, what would be the most beneficial for you to, you know, going into the CSW, what would be helpful for your preparation. So yeah, think about this and add any ideas, and I'll pass it to Saida.
Thank you, Devin. And as you all are, you know, thinking through your responses and writing them here, we'd love to hear quickly from one of our next speakers. Again, in a minute or so, please share your recommendation for what the YLYPs can do to support your work. And I believe, Pauline, you're next.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to say hello, everyone. I am really excited to be here today. My first time joining this meeting. I'm so excited. My name is Pauline Katsuroy. I'm from Liberia, West Africa, member of the Youth Coalition for Sexual Reproductive Health and Rights. I'm an SRHR activist and a young leader. I work with a team of young people at Girls of Alliance. It's a youth-led organization working in Liberia to advocate for girls' rights to health and equality. Being on this platform, like Jamie said, but in Liberia, yeah, we have a lot of passionate young people, young women who have the talents, who are passionate, but they are lacking the opportunities. And as young people who, someone would say it's a privilege for us having this opportunity, I think our joining Self Forum and being part of Self Forum, I'm hoping that we can really use this platform to empower a lot of our colleagues and other young people who will be coming after us, so that the young people we now have who are brave, having self-confidence, we are not many yet. We still need to have more young people on board. So I'm really looking forward to ways that we can engage young people at the grassroots level, those who are lacking access to internet, to so many opportunities, on how we can reach them so that they can also be able to take over from a few years to come. So I'm looking forward to engaging with all of you, and I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. And first of all, welcome to the YLYPs. We're so excited to have you here. And I think what you spoke to would be really a key theme throughout our upcoming sessions about how to use technology specifically to engage people in rural communities at the grassroots level. So we're excited to continue to have you engage with us as we lead up to CSW. For now, I'm going to turn it over to Devin to share some of the fantastic responses we're receiving.
Okay, thanks, Aida. So we have gotten more great responses. So pre-conference meetings, which we will definitely be doing, all of these events will happen right before the CSW, experience it, sharing and learning from each other. It would be helpful to access events platforms that are issue specific to prepare advocacy statements, having different time slots to make it accessible for people from different time zones, by creating a strong network where youth leaders will get engagement of highly informed individuals and workaholic ones will help in sensitization. Mentorship in small cohorts, setting an agenda for CSW, forming small youth cohorts who individually work on agendas based on issues that matter to them the most, while collectively strategizing for a concrete impact on CSW. Teaching presenting skills so we are able to effectively communicate. All great ideas. Better to prepare easily accessible platforms, in-person meeting programs, sharing files ahead if possible, creating regional activist working groups. Yes, amazing. I'm loving all of these. Feel free to keep adding your responses. I did say in the chat that we will be collecting all of these responses and noting them all, and we will also share them with you as well. So if you, after this call, if you have more ideas, you can, one, feel free to jump into this link and add them to these slides. Or you can also email us if you have ideas. We will put all of our contact information in the chat. So yeah, don't if right now you're like, oh, I don't know, I need to think about it, you can definitely get in touch with us later. So the next question is, how can we improve on highlighting youth and gender issues across all UN deliberations? There are a lot of different UN processes and a lot of different youth things happening with the UN. So how can we, one, improve on, including youth and gender issues across the board, but also kind of connecting all of the different youth and gender processes that are happening as well. So yeah. As usual, think about it, add your responses, and I'll pass to Saida.
Thanks, Devin. And as we're doing that, I think we're going to pass it on to Zylene. Again, please feel free to introduce your correct pronunciation as you take the floor. I think you might be muted. I can hear you. I can see you speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Zylene Kathy Smith. I work with the Young Women's Christian Association, the YWCA of Liberia. I'm the youth coordinator. And at the YWCA here, we pride ourselves with capacity building of young women to religiously educate them and ensure that they are ready to help and the community, even the country at large. But from when I sit at my office, we've had a lot of challenges given the fact that a lot of young women in Liberia need help and the opportunities are not many. Now, here we tried our best to provide education for them, to mentor them, the best way we can, but we still have challenges. But what we do, we raise our own funds, we come up with programs, skill building programs to ensure that they have something. If they cannot go to the academic school, we ensure that they know how to do something with their hands, to be of help to themselves. But in doing so, there are a whole lot of challenges we face with fund-wise and even creating a platform from the bigger NGO body here in Liberia, giving young women a chance to actually learn, to grow and develop themselves, to mentor them. We are still having challenges. So I'm new here and I'm really looking forward to being part of more of your meetings and even networking with more of you to ensure that to broaden my knowledge on how I can really be of help to the young women here in Liberia, because we really need help. And I know with my affiliation with the CSW and the YLP, I know that help is coming. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll turn it over to Devin next.
Cool. So we have some responses for this one. Meaningful participants, inclusivity, no one being left behind, highlight the involvement and engagement of those who come in contact with the YLYPs. The sheer number of participants highlights that these are topics that people really care about and are dedicating to making change. Highlighting youth and gender issues by giving spaces to marginalized youth, creating platforms for them to ensure that their voices are heard, offering transparency and guidance on the realities of UN deliberations so that youth can be informed about them and how they can effectively advocate, ensuring that youth and women are well represented in government, and thus through this, they will be able to share and air the grievances, working on education, more educational skills provided to youth, improving transparency. Oh wait, I read that one. Starting with giving a queer intersectional focus to everything and using inclusive language as you go about it, conducting focus group discussions or detail matters and giving incentives to youth for engaging, conducting podcasts with youth prior to deliberations. Is there a way to contact or approach national governments, being focused and specific on the prioritized issues? Substantive youth and adolescent representation, more paid engagement opportunities for youth, supporting regional youth-led consultations, focusing on ensuring substantial hybrid participation of youth from the Global South, sharing power and giving space to highlight youth and gender themselves instead of representing them, increase transparency on how the UN works and where we may be able to have a direct impact, helping network with member states and governments, mandatory youth and female representatives in all UN deliberations. Again, all really great ideas for sure. Improving the possibilities to get paid for the work and time you've put in, absolutely. Yeah, so keep adding your responses and thinking about it, and back to Saida.
Thank you, Devin. Are there any other questions that we can continue to work on?
Yes, sorry. So the next question is how we can improve on community building, mentorship, and networking opportunities. So, you know, is there a different kind of format that you think would be helpful? Is there a certain type of you know, communication or something like that to help with community building and keeping everyone in touch with each other, more networking opportunities. So yeah, feel free to add your responses. And now I'll give it to Saida.
Thank you, Devin. And I'll turn it over to our last few speakers. And Rania, you have the floor.
Hi everyone, how are you guys? My name is Rania Harada. I'm from Morocco, and I would like to share some of the recommendations that some of the activists from the region and I worked on, as we were like, we don't feel represented on like these spaces, but what can we do about it? So what we did, we conducted consultations with other activists from the Arab region. So these are recommendations from more than 50 activists from the Arab world. So we tackled some of the issues. It's a pretty long list, but I will just go for the most important ones to make it easy for everyone. So let me try to find it. So according to our constitution, a lot of youth face barriers when it comes to standing up for themselves, advocating for their rights, and making their demands heard, as the number of safe spaces for activists in the region is limited. We also realize that we're never going to be taken seriously by like governments, even though we are trying to make an impact, even though we are making a change. They're never going to take you seriously. So some of the activists recommended creating a safe space within NGOs that allow youth from the region to tackle issues that affect them and make their voice heard. So as I mentioned, like regional working groups, someone mentioned that too. They also mentioned the importance of the inclusion of diverse pool of voices in every decision-making processes. Also, so others mentioned not having so many opportunities in the region to engage with, having less impact and interest from people and communities, as like the Arab world knows a very different economic and social context. Like people have more issues to care about than you trying to make a change. So in order to better outreach and knowing who are those activists who are doing grassroots level work, they recommended the creation of Telegram, WhatsApp, or also Facebook groups, as it's like social media that are mainly used by youth. So when it comes to reaching out Arab youth in the region, it's better to use what is mainly used. As I said, a lot of mention not being taken seriously, and someone said a quote that I really find interesting. We have to get our international recognition to get local recognition, which is pretty sad. So some of them recommended creating capacity building training that equips Arab youth with the tools to help them lobby with decision makers in the Arab states, and training on safe activism also might help solve these issues. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Rania. And it's really interesting that two of our youth speakers today have brought up the point about global accountability and how that has an impact at the local level. So that's wonderful to hear. And you mentioned that you have a list of recommendations. If it's public, please feel free to drop it in the chat or share it with us via email. That would be helpful. For now, I'm going to turn it back to Devin.
Thanks. So some ideas on how we can improve community building, mentorship, and networking opportunities, more youth engagement. Someone suggested the idea of mentorship for small groups. These could be organized by region or issue, youth showing up prepared, informed, and with networking skills ready. Would love to have spaces to meet UN officials, resource sharing and skill building, safe youth-led and facilitated discussion spaces, an open Google Doc for young people to keep adding their thoughts, views, etc. Networking database, engaging youth with those already networking with member states and governments, telling us about paid opportunities, ensuring substantial youth-led parallel events during CSW and pre-CSW, conducting youth workshops with breakout rooms for those to concentrate on certain smaller categories or a bigger issue, sharing social medias of participants, sharing YLYPs, groups, and social media links after each session. We do have a mailing list. We'll be putting all of these links in the chat at the end. Training of trainers on community building, mentorship, and networking opportunities, because this will go a long way to impact lives. And it's an inclusive approach because those who are not online will also benefit from these. Engaging youth from Global South consciously, taking care of their time zones and lack of tech and strong visas. Yes, I think I've read them all. Again, such great responses. Yeah, all of these responses have been really great and I think really helpful. Yeah, I don't see any new ones. So the next question is, what talents, strengths, capacities do you have to contribute to the YLYPs? So here's just some examples. If you are, a really strong speaker and are looking for speaking opportunities, if you're a male ally, if you have expertise in the priority theme or maybe other issues, if you have specific strengths or skills that you think could be useful. Yeah, again, noodle on it, add your responses, and I'll pass it to Saida.
Thank you, Devin. I think we're gonna, I believe this is our last question. So as we're looking towards wrapping up, we'd love to hear from our final speaker. Ronnie, you have the floor.
Thank you. It's me. Hello, everyone. It's me, Roni Saki from YWC Nepal. Now I'm working as a young women lead at Nepal. So I just want to share some things. In the context of Nepal, there is no safe space for the young people because there is very strict rules and regulation for the young people. So they cannot share their feelings, thought regarding sexual and reproductive health. Even we know menstruation is just a natural process, but there is a very strict rules regulation. So the young people are not sure their first period with their friends, family. So a lot of young girls are suffering a lot of domestic violence. So I think this is the best platform where we can share our thought, opinion without any judgment. So I think if we create the safe space for the young people, this safe space, the young people can share their opinions, thought without any fear, without any judgment, which help them make them more confident and more secure if they feel any curiosity regarding sexual and reproductive health. So I hope this kind of platform should be make more and reach out the young people. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that and for emphasizing the importance of creating safe spaces where young people can come and share about things that might be taboo in their communities. I really appreciate that. And Devin, I'll turn it over to you to share the responses and to take us towards our wrap up today.
Cool. So we are getting a lot of good responses. We have some people who are strong speakers and leaders, are event organizers, good at writing speeches and argumentative texts, good at communication, advocacy, campaigning and mobilization, storytelling, social media, facilitation of meetings, ideating, bringing in the intersection of art, dissemination of the Young Feminist Manifesto, conducting regional consultations to bring in grassroots voices, social media, speaking, writing, LGBTQ+ issues and gender, SRHR, talking about taboo topics, management skills, feminist building, research, writing, editing, proofreading, grant writing, facilitation, brainstorming, making speeches at the UN, Korean translation, inspiring storytelling, advocacy. Could there be a database of mentors, YLYP members that lists each person's talents and office hours? Yeah, so many awesome strengths and talents, and all super relevant and useful. I don't see any new ones. Yeah, this is awesome. So, okay, so here's a quick QR code for our mailing list if you're not on it. I'll also put the link in the chat. But one other thing that we wanted to share before we close is, and I think someone else actually asked about this, but we do have a form for anyone who is interested in speaking opportunities. So let me just pull it up here. So here's the form. And if you're interested in speaking opportunities at the UN or at the CSW or at other civil society spaces, feel free to fill that out, and then we can have a running list of youth speakers to share with UN Women or other organizations when they're looking for youth speakers. So definitely fill that out if you're interested. We also have a Slack channel where we have a couple different like boards to talk about certain things. We share updates from us, but also other organizations, some, you know, like job opportunities or things like that. Let me just get that link. So here's our Slack channel and our mailing list. Sorry, my computer is super slow today. Yes, I'll add that in the chat though when I pull it up. And I think that's it from me. So I'll pass it to Safira, I think, who's doing the conclusion. And in the meantime, I will put the link to our mailing list and our WhatsApp group as well in the chat.
Thank you, Devin. And so this brings us to the end of our time together. Really wanted to say thank you to everybody who shared your experiences and your recommendations. We're going to be taking everything that was shared on the call today and designing our program for the coming year. So please do keep an eye out for next steps. Really, our goal, as was stated at the beginning, is to allow our young people to engage, to be informed, to be effective in the space, and to somehow have a level of coordination amongst us to support the work that we're doing, both at the ground and also at the international level. So we're really trying to, and so grateful for your feedback, to input into a program and a process that we can develop to have a really strong youth leaders and young professionals program that adds value to the work. And it's so important to have younger voices in the feminist movement as we're moving forward together. So really, thank you so much. Keep an eye out for those links. I know they'll also be in the YLYP newsletter that will come out. So don't worry if you've missed anything today, you'll get all of those links and can connect in. And thank you, Devin, for all the links in the chat. And really looking forward to being in touch. If you have further ideas beyond the call, feel welcome to reach out to us. But otherwise, keep an eye out for our next event when we can all be together. All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you so much.